Hello, everyone. Welcome to AniRaiders Reviews, Jujutsu Kaisen, episodes 3 and 4 of Season 2. And today, I am, of course, joined by...
Nuadacube, hey, what's up, guys?
And, if you watched the first... first of all, warning, there are going to be spoilers in this episode. So, if you haven't watched the episodes yet, we highly suggest you do that before watching this video. But if you don't care, then just stick with us.
Thanks for joining in.
Yep. So starting off with episode 3, the episode started off where episode 2 ended, with Riko getting the message about her caretaker being kidnapped.
Mm-hmm.
We then, of course, get a flashback to the caretaker telling Geto to go join Gojo in protecting Riko, and as we find out, that wasn't exactly like a smart move. At least that's what Geto believes.
Mm-hmm.
So then it cuts to, Geto talking to Gojo and, explaining, man, I really shouldn't have left her like that. She got captured because of me. But Gojo's just like, you say it's a mistake, but I don't really see it as a mistake at all. Actually, we have the advantage in this situation. Because, they have Riko Amanai, and that's the main target in this game, right?
Yes.
So Gojo's like, they'll probably want to set an exchange for her life for Riko's. So we just find out where it's gonna be, and then we just beat up the bad guys and rescue the caretaker. And Gojo's like, but before that, I'm taking Riko back to Jujutsu High where it's safe. So he ends up doing that. He ends up explaining. Riko hears this, and she's like, I don't want to do that. And Gojo's like, what? And he's like, this isn't like a game or whatever. And she basically says, yeah, but what if you don't save her in time before I do the merger? I won't get a chance to say goodbye to her. And Gojo's like, well, alright then. On one condition. We take you with us. And if you start complaining and getting sad about not wanting to go, then they're just going to ignore her, right?
Mm-hmm.
So then we move on to the beach scene. And Austin, you want to talk a little bit about...
Yeah, so immediately after that, it shows that they rescue her...
caretaker.
Her caretaker. Gojo busts open a door and stomps these two guards on the ground, and then it shows Riko hugging her caretaker. And then the next scene, they're at the beach. A change of the dark scenery, and
no, that actually happens before.
Really?
So you see them Gojo get very seriously, and then the next thing you see is them jumping happily into the water, and then they explain what happened.
Gotcha.
Yep.
Yeah. So I got that mixed up. My bad. Yeah. So it shows Gojo and Riko at the beach, having a great time and playing with eels and stuff, and yeah. So that's like what you guys see in the image right now is Gojo pointing at Riko and laughing at her after he threw a eel at her.
They're actually not eels. They're called sea cucumbers.
Sea cucumbers. There we go. Thank you.
Yeah. But we also see the caretaker basically mentions, so you think that these guys are going to try to take over the airport.
Mm.
Because obviously they explained that they took an airplane to get to Okinawa, which is where they currently are. And they're like, no. We actually got backup sent. And we see a king. We see a young king by the name of Kanto Nanami. And if you've seen season 1, you know who he is.
Mm-hmm.
The 9 to 5 sorcerer. And you see another character that we get introduced into this season, Yu Haibara. And as they're talking, Yu Haibara is actually very excited about the mission, and he's actually very excited to work with Geto and Gojo, because again they're considered the strongest of Jujutsu society, and he has like a lot of respect for him. And Nanami's just not impressed. Nanami's just being Nanami, and he's like, "Yeah, but if the weather gets really bad, then us coming here will be for naught because we weren't able to complete the mission due to the weather." And you didn't see Rico. You mentioned this already. Rico and Gojo just playing in the water. You just see Gojo just chucking the sea cucumbers at her.
Mm-hmm.
And just starts laughing at her, which is again the image that you're seeing right now. And
I gotta say, like, episode 3, like, what, in my opinion so far, is probably like the most visually stunning episode, like, for like just in tropical environments and stuff, and like the underwater aspect. But
we'll get into that when we get to that part of the episode.
Oh yeah,
we don't want to jump too far ahead. So
it's the best part.
Gojo, he realizes how much fun Rico is having, and Geto is like, okay, let's head out. And Gojo's like, let's leave tomorrow morning, because we learned that Gojo has really warmed up to her.
Mm-hmm.
So he wants to make sure that she has as much fun on this trip as possible before the merger, because again, her consciousness will be gone.
She'll be basically dead.
Yeah. Well, not dead, but like the body will not be the consciousness will not. Basically, her soul is going to get merged with Tengen, because Tengen's more powerful. That would be the conscience that exists.
Mm-hmm.
So they explain it as an erasure. So yeah, basically she dies in a roundabout way. So we see a montage of beautiful clips of the trip. We see Rico and the characters running through a field of flowers, through a garden.
Mm-hmm.
You see them kayaking, and that water scene when she's running her hand through the water.
So good.
That looks so good. That was really impressive.
Yeah. Especially for a 2023 anime, it's just amazing.
Yeah. I've said this before. At least I believe I have. Jujutsu Kaisen is one of my favorite anime, and I actually kind of think, in some ways, I like it a bit better than Demon Slayer.
Mm-hmm.
But that's just like personal preference. Everyone's gonna have their own choices. I know some people who don't even think Jujutsu Kaisen's a good anime. They think it's mid. I mean, I think they're crazy, but everyone's entitled to an opinion.
Yeah.
So later on, after we see them, having all of that fun, or this might be before the clip show. I'm not entirely sure, but we see Geto pull Gojo over, and he says, "Hey, I've noticed that you've been using your curse technique nonstop. Are you okay?" And Gojo's like, "Yeah, I'll be fine. Besides, I got nothing to worry about because you're here." And that really helps to establish how close of friends that they are, that they trust each other with their lives.
Wasn't that conversation on the beach?
Yes, that's why I said what I said. But yeah, that was on the beach, and Gojo's like, "Yeah, I'm not worried." So at some point during the episode, they get back to Jujutsu High, and they think they're in the clear. Gojo's completely exhausted, but he's like, "Okay, we should be safe now," and everyone's just like, pretty calm about it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then all of a sudden, the demon Toji just stabs runs this man through with a sword.
It just happens so suddenly.
Yeah, and I know that this caught you off guard.
Mm-hmm. I was like,
because I've been keeping up with the manga. Like, I know what happens in the manga, but you don't know what happens in the manga.
Yeah, I'm going in completely blind here.
So,
unlike Demon Slayer, where I've read the entire manga.
So I was stunned when I watched, when I saw that happen, because of how good it looked.
Mm. So we were both stunned, but
for different reasons. But yes, what I will say, okay, is that and then Geto and Gojo both attack.
Mm.
Well, no, before that happens, Gojo's like, "Hey, have I seen you before?" Because he just looks over at Toji, still with the blade in his running through his body, and he says, "Hey, have I seen you before?" And Toji's just like, don't worry about it. I'm not exactly the kind of guy who would remember a random guy's name either. So at that moment, Gojo uses Limitless Blue to push Toji away, and while he's in the air, Geto releases a cursed spirit to attack him midair.
Mm.
And at that point, Geto's like, "Gojo, are you okay?" And he's like, "Yeah, no. I managed to reinforce myself with cursed energy, so it basically felt like a pin going through a knitted sweater." So, Gojo's perfectly confident in his ability to win this fight, So Geto ends up taking Riko and her caretaker to the tomb of Tengen, while we see Gojo and Toji fighting. And oh my god, Toji fucking bodies.
But that fight did not last long at all.
That was not a fight. That was a beatdown.
Yeah, so Gojo, he tried to sniff him out, but he was unable to, and Toji sent a cursed move on him where he sent 1,000 insects at him to trick him out.
They're called flyheads.
Flyheads, yes. And when Gojo least expected it, Toji came right in for the kill.
Yep, and he used a rare curse tool called the Inverted Spear of Heaven.
If you guys really love Gojo like I do, this scene is not for the faint of heart.
Yeah. But basically what the Inverted Spear of Heaven does is it neutralizes curse techniques. It automatically shuts them off.
Mm.
So basically, when not only was Gojo disoriented from constantly using his curse technique, and he was exhausted, but because of the Inverted Spear of Heaven, Toji just shoves it right through his fucking throat.
And slices him from the throat down.
Yeah, it is absolutely brutal.
Oh, it's pretty graphic.
And before anyone comments in the comment section about my cursing, this is not a kid's anime anyway.
Yeah, no, I would not recommend a 13-year-old to even watch this.
So if you even think about complaining in the comment section, save it, because again, this is not a kid's anime.
This is not like Full Metal Alchemist.
Yeah. While we're not gratuitous about our cursing, if we curse, just let it go. But yeah, after that, Toji just tears Gojo apart.
Does he go for one final stab at the end?
Yeah, he stabs him in the head with a knife.
Really? Oh yeah, my god.
You see it.
I remember him like stabbing him, but like I didn't know it was in the head again.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. God.
Well,
he
he was
took
going
such
for
a beating.
He was going for the brain. No, and then you just see a lot of like just Gojo in a bloody pulp, and he's like, you know what? I think I am getting the hang of this again.
It's like after like you do a dirty task and like you just or clap your hands like to get the dust off.
Yeah, but you can tell that Toji was satisfied by his work.
Oh yeah.
But we then after that massacre. It's not even a fight; it's a massacre.
If we're speaking more combat terms, fatality.
Yeah, no. In any terms, it was a fatality, but in any scenario, instant death. Like no,
maybe even a brutality.
No, well, brutality. You know what? Sheer brutality and a fatality. Well, whatever, just say that. But no. So afterwards, we see Rico and the caretaker saying their goodbyes, and it's very emotional and very teary-eyed. You know. And then
Ghetto's.
Yep, and then Ghetto starts walking her towards to the tomb where she needs to go to merge with Tengen, and he's basically explaining, it's safe in here because Tengen will protect you because there are special barriers made that only people with permission can enter into the tomb. So that happens, and Ghetto's like, or we can forget about the merger and we can just go home, and you can stay with us. And Ghetto was like, we discussed it way before we even met you, that if you didn't want to do the merger, then we wouldn't force you, and that'd be off, and that we'd fight anyone that we needed to protect you from having to go through that, which was really cool, right?
And we see a beautiful cutscene that happens like right before that too.
Yeah, she's talking about how like sad her life had been, and now she had lost her parents and things like that, and how she thought that she wouldn't really care about the merger, but then she realized how much she really does love people and the people that she's been able to be around.
And by the way, they're also like during the scene playing the song from the ending theme.
Yep.
And so like it just adds to the weight of the emotion like during that time.
It works really well.
Oh yeah, for sure.
But then we end up watching. But then Ghetto's like, okay, then let's go, and she's about to extend her hand.
And wait, before you say that,
bang!
What was I wish I could like have like a visual reaction of my face when this happened. My mouth was on the floor.
Yeah. Toji saw a shot. He took it. I respect him for it. He's a dick, but I would take it. But I respect it.
Just bam, done.
And this piece of shit, this rat bastard, he just walks in and he's like, "Okay, job's done." He looks over to Ghetto and he's like, "Okay, you can leave now." And then Ghetto's like, "How are you even here?" And he's like, "What?" Oh, he's like, "Oh, you mean that? Oh, I killed Satoru Gojo."
It was an easy job.
Well, he doesn't say that, but it's pretty implied with that smile he had on his face. He was like, "It was fun for a bit." And that's where episode 3 ends.
And Ghetto gets really pissed and sends a curse out and says, "Die."
2 curses, yep.
Yeah, and he screams, "Die," and then the episode ends.
Yep. So episode 3 was really good. It was excellent. Like you said, I think it was, for when it came out, it was easily the most visually appealing. I think it might act until we get more episodes. We're recording this on the night of the 4th episode dropping of the season. So obviously,
right, because we chose to talk about the or 2 weeks of episodes.
Yeah.
So
It's
just
just
to add more content.
Yeah, it's just easier.
Yeah.
But no, yeah. So we will end up doing a season recap by
Oh,
the
for
end
sure.
of it. But we then go into the fourth episode. And the fourth episode begins with Toji and Geto just walking, and Toji's just talking to him. And he was explaining why he's able to get inside the Tomb of the Star and things like that, right? And he's like, "Oh, because I have no cursed energy, the bearers don't really work on me. Plus there are a bunch of fly heads over Jujutsu High, so obviously that's keeping those guys preoccupied. Plus, a lot of sorcerers are busy this time of year. So, with all of those factors, I was able to do it." He also explains that he has an inventory curse that he keeps all of his weapons in. And the reason why he didn't use a curse tool when he initially attacked them was because that they would have realized that he was there.
Which is pretty smart if you think about it. So
and because he doesn't
thoroughly plan this.
Yep, and because he doesn't have cursed energy, he's basically invisible to everyone. And he was like, if I was holding a cursed object, you would have sensed that cursed energy coming off of it, and you would have realized that was there, so I wouldn't have been invisible anymore. So he explains that, and this had to be a reference to Yu Yu Hakusho. So they start fighting, and Geto fires out cursed spirits, like bullet cursed spirits, from his finger, doing exactly the same pose that Yusuke Urameshi does.
I thought that was really cool.
And it's actually confirmed that Gege Akutame, the creator of the manga, is actually a huge Yu Yu Hakusho fan.
That pretty much seals the deal there.
Yep. Also, huge fan of Bleach. Basically, any shonen that you like was pretty much like
inspiration.
Gege's. Yeah. So they end up fighting, and Geto ends up sending out his Rainbow Dragon, an extremely powerful curse sphere. It has extreme durability. And what Toji uses is he uses a well, no, at first I think he tries using a gun on it, and that's not really effective. So he ends up using a special curse sword, and we don't know the name of the sword yet, but it's actually the Soul Liberation Blade. It's the proper name for it, and it attacks directly to the soul, so it ignores all durability feats. So let's say he would have used it like on Mahito from the first season. Mahito, you can only attack him using by attacking his soul directly. That's the only way to do damage to him.
Right.
So we end up seeing so because the Soul Liberation Blade attacks the soul directly, that would, if Mahito got hit by it, it would likely be low diff for Toji to beat him. Which is insane when you consider how powerful Mahito is. But yeah, because of that, he takes out the Rainbow Dragon. And Geto's like, what? The Rainbow Dragon has the toughest hide. It's known to have the toughest hide. So it was ridiculous that he was able to take it down that easily. So then they are again right next to each other, you know what I mean? Both engaged in combat again. And all of a sudden, you see the lights, the scenery turn blue. I believe it was blue, right?
I think it was, yes.
Yeah, and it was another cursed spirit. And the cursed spirit basically stops them from doing damage to each other. And asks Toji, "Hello, hey, am I pretty?" And depending on how he answers, he will get attacked. So
crazy.
Toji thinks about it, and he's like, "Well, how do I put this? You're not exactly my type." And then we start seeing blood come from his ear.
Mm.
And then it cuts to show these blades, like these scissor things, surrounding him. And he's like, "Oh, so that's what it is." He then proceeds to pull out the inverted spear of heaven and just destroy all of the scissors. Because again, it nullifies curse techniques.
Mm-hmm.
So that keeps that takes care of that problem. And then you just see I think it's implied. I'm not sure if it's implied that Toji took out the curse spear or not. I don't think he did. But I can't recall. Is what it comes down to. But Geto is behind him, and Toji's just like idiot. And then he attacks him. He just cuts him down. With ridiculous speed.
Puts a giant X on his chest.
Yep. So
Pretty
he's
much.
out for the count. And then Toji basically uses his inventory curse to grab Rico Amine's body. And he then proceeds to meet up with the Star Religious Group's representative.
Just boom, boom, takes his leave.
Yep. So...
Hey, if you look at the bright side, Ergeto lasted a little bit longer than Gojo.
We'll see. That's relative, I suppose. It depends on how you see it. But no, once Geto went down, I would argue much faster.
You think?
Once the fighting actually started, because remember, for a little bit they were talking.
True.
So you could take it either way.
Yeah.
I don't really care. But so they delivered a body, and the guy who's in charge of the Star Religious Group is like, "Hey, this is really good. You know what I mean? I'm even gonna give you guys a raise." And Toji's like, "You're very generous, founder. Yeah, I appreciate it." And then the broker is like, "He's not the founder." And he's like, "Oh." So the broker is like, there's a huge risk to this, because if Tengen goes crazy, then humanity, as we know, is doomed. And the Star Religious representative is like, "Oh, I don't care about that. That's what needs to happen for us to be able to worship the way we want to. The world can end for all we care." Which kind of shows how jacked up their cult mentality is.
They give zero fucks about humanity, basically.
Yeah, they're all willing to sacrifice themselves for the sake of their. You gotta admire the dedication, but it's still fucked up.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, but after that, you see Toji and the broker walking out, and Toji's like, "Why didn't you kill the caretaker?" And he's like, "I think I specifically told you to do that." And he's like, "Yeah, but I had a better plan, and the plan was obviously to use her as bait to wear down Gojo and Geto. And obviously it wasn't that bad, because they managed to take out the captors relatively quickly, as we saw in episode 3.
Mm-hmm.
So Toji's like, "Yeah, good point." And he's like, "So why don't you take me to one of those fancy restaurants that you treat your clients to?" And he was like, "Yeah, no, I'm good. I try not to. I basically promised myself I wouldn't associate with you unless it's in business or in hell." And he's like, "Plus, you never pay for another man's meal." So Toji's like, "Yeah, all right." So as he's walking out of the base of the Star Plasma organization, Gojo shows up again.
And he's like, "What the fuck? I thought I killed you."
And he's like, "Yo, see." He's like, what is this? And he's like, you're not dead? And he's like, yeah, I'm alive and kicking.
As you see in this picture, or right here, Gojo looks like he's, just, like, walked straight out of hell, basically.
I mean, he basically did.
Hey,
after that,
it's been a while.
yeah, and then you see the scar of where Toji actually stabbed him in the forehead.
That actually makes sense now. Yeah, I was like, but where that? I thought it was just like from their fight, but no. Like, wow. Okay, so he actually stabbed him in the head.
I mean, it was from their fight because he stabbed him.
Yeah. But
yeah. So that ends up happening, and that's really cool, right? Really cool visual, and Toji is like, oh, so you used it was reverse curse technique, and Gojo is like, bingo, but man, you have no idea how difficult it was to actually learn how to use it. Because if you remember in episode 2, Gojo tried using reverse curse technique to use red, and it completely fizzled out before it actually launched. So he's finally able to do that, and basically it's like round 2. And Gojo was like, you should have cut my head off, and that's why you're going to lose. And then Toji was like, oh, well, no, this fight actually has just started. And he gets prepared to fight him again. And Gojo just goes fucking nuts, and he's like, really? Really? Is that so?
there was like another
Maybe you're
shot
right.
that we were going to use where like he was like in a horizontal position, like or floating in the air.
That wasn't the other option. That wasn't the other image that we were going to use, actually.
Oh no, like it was. Yeah, it was before that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was the one where he was actually going crazy and like he was losing his mind. And Toji's like, he's high, and you just see how crazy Gojo is going. And he actually like they stop fighting again, and Gojo is just easily blocking all of the attacks.
And
Well, not
dodging
blocking.
them.
He's dodging all of the attacks with like ease.
Perfect
He's making it like
precision.
he's making it look like child's play, basically.
Mm-hmm.
And at some point, you just see Gojo floating in the air. Well, no. Before that, Toji basically attaches a chain to the inverted spear of heaven to use it more effectively.
Mm-hmm.
Wait, no, he didn't. First, he swipes at Gojo, and Gojo basically appears behind him, and he's like, reverse technique red, and then he just blasts Toji away. Now, I think it was handled a bit differently in the manga, but it's essentially the same scene.
Are you talking about the part like where like it showed like the design in Gojo's eye, and then like you see the giant hole that he made?
No, Austin, no, that's not what I'm saying.
This is
What
before that?
Yes, when he used reverse curse technique red on him, and Toji blocked with the inverted spear of heaven, and got sent to the buildings.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah. So that ended up happening, and then Toji starts like reevaluating his strategy, and he's like, okay, so the attack he just used was reverse technique red, okay, which is reverse of the limitless using reverse curse technique.
Mm-hmm.
And then Gojo has an attack that attracts called so red repels, blue attracts, and he's like, so the nice thing about something about the limitless technique is because it's a inherited clan technique. There's basically a user's manual about it, so he pretty much knows how to deal with it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you see Toji attach a chain, and the chain is also a cursed tool called the Chain of 1,000 Miles.
Mm.
And basically, so long as Toji's holding it, it can extend indefinitely. So you see him swinging it around, and he's like, something seems off. But no, this is okay. I can work with this.
Oh yes, I remember this.
And Gojo's just thinking to himself while in the midair. He's like, I'm sorry, Amanai. I'm not even angry about what happened with you. He was like, I'm just so enlightened. And the world is so beautiful right now. And basically what happened is Gojo had an awakening. Like, he basically reached enlightenment. And at one point he says, I alone am the honored one between heaven and earth. And I'm pretty sure that's not the exact phrasing, but I'm paraphrasing here. But that's exactly what in Buddhist mythology, what Buddha said when he was born. So that ended up happening.
That's kind of cool how they incorporated that, and like setting right now, like the sun's like beaming down like through the clouds, you know.
Yep.
It's like making this like golden moment.
Yeah. So one thing about Gege that he incorporates is a lot of different types of religion and mythology in his works. So that ended up happening, right? And Toji's ready, and he's swinging his weapon around, and you see the inverted spear about to attack Gojo from behind. And Gojo says, he basically mentions what Toji mentioned, like how because it's an inherited technique from a clan, there's essentially an instruction manual. But he's like, but there's one thing that few members of the Gojo clan actually know about, and that's Hollow Purple, or imaginary technique purple, as it's referred to in this episode, based on the Crunchyroll translation, of course. And it's okay, Austin. Here's the moment you've been waiting for. You see the hole, just the holes, and then it pans up and you see a hole through Toji's body,
like half of his body.
You actually see his hand on the ground.
Oh yeah, that's right, man. They really made it so graphic.
Yeah, I didn't notice that the first time. I only noticed it the second time I watched it.
Huh.
But yeah, that was completely insane. And you just see Toji like move his arms, move his hand underneath, and you see him like catch some of his own blood in his hand.
Mm-hmm. Like that would do anything.
Yeah, and he just looks down at it, and he's basically like, why? I thought I got rid of my pride a long time ago. And he basically says how he's been living a life where he doesn't have respect for anyone else, not even himself. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So that ends up happening. And to end the fight, Gojo's like, do you have any last words? And Toji's like, nah. And you see a little bit of blood coming from his mouth. And then he remembers Megumi. And he's like, actually, in 2 or 3 years, my son's going to be sold off to the Zenin clan. And as he's dying, he says, do with that what you will. And of course, as we know, Gojo basically takes in Megumi as like his foster son.
Ah.
If you've seen the first.
Yes, yes, I definitely remember that.
Yeah, so that ends up happening. And then later on, you see Geto back, and he's all well and good now. And he runs through 2 doors, and you just hear super loud clapping. And what he did was he walked into the Star Religious Group meeting, and you see all of these members just clapping approvingly. And he's just confused, and you just see Gojo walking out between some of the members, holding the corpse of Rico Amanai. And Gojo was just like, oh, so I see you saw Shoko, which is basically the medic of Jujutsu High.
Mm-hmm.
She's like a master of using reverse curse technique.
Mm-hmm.
And you see her in the first and second episodes. At least I believe you do. Actually, I'm not sure if you see her in the second episode. But
it definitely won't be the last time.
Yeah, but Gojo. Well, you see her in season 1.
Right.
But Gojo basically says, "Okay, so I see you got to her," and then Geto's like, "Yeah, I managed to get, and I'm all good now." And then he just sees Rico's hand fall out of the body bag, like the under the sheet, and he's just like, "But that doesn't really matter now, because we failed." And Gojo's like, "Don't blame yourself. It's very much my fault. You know what I mean? You're not at fault here." And he's like, "Yeah." And he's like, "Gojo, are you okay?" And he's like, "Yeah." And he's like, "But do you want to kill everyone here?" And Geto's like, "What?" And he's like, "Because if we did it now, the way I am right now, I don't think I'd feel anything." So at that point, Gojo basically wanted to kill everyone in the Star Religious group for clapping over Rico Amanai's death.
I was like just trying to like process like what was going on in that scene with their conversation, and it makes sense now that Gojo, he's been psychologically messed with, like him and Geto, like over everything.
Yeah, so Gojo's basically like, "Yeah, do you want to kill everyone?" And Geto's like, "We can't do that. We don't have without like a really good reason." And he's like, "Do we really need reason to kill everyone here?" And he's like, "Yes, reason's important, especially for us as Jujutsu sorcerers." And then after that, the ending theme plays, and this surprised me the first time I watched it, because there was an ending credit scene in this episode, which was weird. Where, no, this is where it happened. This was the ending credit. That was the ending credit scene, and then it just goes on to the next episode. So that for the next episode preview. So yeah, that was really good. That was really solid.
We're definitely getting like it's building up for what's next.
Yeah. So overall, what do you think of the last 2 weeks' episodes?
I gotta say, yeah, or like I said, it's building up the season 2. What arc we have next? The Shibuya incident.
Yep, and that's gonna be fire. It's gonna be awesome.
Is the Shibuya incident in the present?
Yes.
Okay.
So we're gonna get Yuji again. We're gonna get all of them again.
The whole cast.
Yeah, because I know a lot of people have been missing those guys.
Yes.
I'm looking forward to seeing what they look like in the new animation style.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, no, because this animation style is so good.
Yep.
Do we have any more episodes, you think, in this arc, or no?
I think we have like 2 more or 3 more.
Okay. So, it's a bit longer than I was thinking.
I think it's supposed to be like 8 episodes. I'm not sure.
Gotcha. Yeah, no, they said it's like 24 episodes, right?
23 episodes.
23. I got it wrong last time we said this.
Yeah, it's because the first season was 24 episodes. So
right.
Pretty reasonable to understand. But eventually you will have to understand that if I say it's 23, it's 23, and you don't have to keep forgetting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, next episode. Hey, Sean, is it 24 episodes?
and then you just hear... just a smack.
We're
anyway.
in 2 separate locations, but he just like sends his hand through the internet and slaps me.
You know what? For all I know, we could be in the same room.
Or are we? Dun dun dun.
Austin, what are you doing here?
Hey, Sean.
How'd you get in? Austin, leave. Anyway, thank you again for checking out this new episode of AniRaiders Review. Please look forward to the next 2 weeks for the 3rd episode of AniRaiders Review, Jujutsu Kaisen Season 2, where we'll be covering episodes 5 and 6 of the new season. And unfortunately, if I remember the scheduling right, there's going to be a few weeks where we will not be covering new material for Jujutsu Kaisen, because they're going to be doing... because Shibuya Incident officially starts on the 31st of August.
Gotcha. So they're gonna have like a few week break.
I believe so, but I'm not entirely sure.
Mm.
But you guys will know, because if there are new episodes that come out, we will obviously be releasing new episodes on them. But for now, it's kind of undetermined. But look forward to when we cover the Shibuya arc, because it's going to be super cool.
I'm really looking forward to it.
And maybe in the break, maybe during that, maybe one of these weeks before it Shibuya incident, we can do a recap of season 1 and just talk about what we thought of season 1.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I was Darkvice and he was Nuadacube, and this is the end.
If you guys haven't already, feel free to check out our socials. We'll put those in the description along with our channels, and especially our Retro Readers channel. We have some more content coming soon.
Yep.
So be on the lookout for that.
Peace out.
Peace out, guys.